Hi there, my name is Kay Moon, and I am the Twin Flame Channel and Western Astrologer. And this is a video about the Capricorn New Moon 2019 happening on December 26th, 2019 at 12:15 a.m. Eastern Time. You'll need to translate that to your time zone on Google to find out what time this will be in your country. Interestingly, this particular new moon is happening simultaneously with a solar eclipse and with 11 cardinal placements, mainly in Capricorn. This brings a ton of new beginning energy. And it's the kind of new beginning energy that we'll need to grasp with our own hands by taking action in our lives, given how much earth energy this new moon has going on in it. This is about the steps that we take, the actions that we implement, and the choices that we make to create change in our lives. This is no longer about recognizing change is coming or believing that we need to or feeling it. This is about literally taking the steps in our lives. Capricorn's ruler is at home, and that's Saturn down here at the 20th degree of Capricorn, making it that much more influential. And you'll see that there's a lot of action here happening in the sign of Capricorn. So we're going to cover all of it in this video. And Jupiter, conjunct the new moon solar eclipse, is making this particular new moon solar eclipse 10 times more powerful than a normal new moon, a normal solar eclipse. Both a new moon and a solar eclipse represent new beginnings, but Jupiter down here at the 5th degree of Capricorn conjunct this new moon, this is basically a new beginning on like 3 times the normal dose of steroids. This energy of this new beginning is also occurring in the midst of an ending in the sign of Capricorn as well. I've been talking about this all year, and in particular during the Capricorn Cancer eclipse cycle video that I did, talking about this entire eclipse cycle on the Capricorn Cancer axis with Saturn and Pluto here. They've been orchestrating an ending of epic proportions for the last 2 years in the areas of our life that Capricorn touches. One door has been in the midst of closing all year in that area of our chart. And just as it's coming to what looks like its final closure, a new beginning is happening in that same area of life. Knowing the area of life that Capricorn governs by house placement will be key to knowing how this is going to play out in your life. So, for example, the 4th house has to do with home and change regarding home and business. The 6th house has to do with health and change regarding health and healing, both psychological and physical. The 7th house has to do with our one-to-one relationships and who we are in those relationships. So if you're curious about the house placement where all of this is happening for you, I recommend getting a one-on-one personal reading with me. The calendar is now open to book in January the 1st through the 15th. And I would be honored to read for you. Just email chrysalismoon@gmail.com to set up that personal reading. Either the half hour or the full hour are available, and we can look at this for you. Be sure to check your promotions folder if for some reason you don't see that autoresponder right away. Cardinal signs, Aries. Here we go. Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer are likely going to feel this particular energy of this eclipse, solar eclipse, new moon, all happening at the same time. Um, they're likely to feel it the most. Also, it bears noting that this is also happening extremely close to the solstice. The solstice is the tipping point in the Earth's axis and in the year where we have a return to light, the light half of the year, if you are in the northern hemisphere. We have a return to the darkness if you are in the southern hemisphere of the earth. Big times, highly symbolic. If you are an Aries sun, you may likely feel this most in the area of career, or if Aries rules your first house. If you are a Libra, or if Libra rules your first house, you're going to feel this in the arena of home, and perhaps there is a move going on. If you're a Capricorn, you may feel this, or Capricorn rules your first house, you may feel this most in the arena of self and work. And all of the Cancer babies, you're probably going to feel this most if Cancer rules your first house in the arena of love and relationships. What you want to do is take the initiative to get your new beginning underway. While something may fall in your lap, while a door may open, the raw energy is going to force you to follow up on and follow through and take the steps to actually make it real if you want it real. This isn't the time to ask the universe to prove it to you, to give you a second sign, to guarantee it. This is the sign to say, perfect, this is exactly the thing I was waiting for, to grasp the reins, get on that horse, and ride it. Both the earth and water signs will also be heavily affected. Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus, the earth signs. This is going to really be a material or physical closure and new beginning somewhere in the realm of body, of work, of your physical life. Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. This is going to be an emotional closure, an emotional spiritual closure, and spiritual and emotional new beginning in some capacity in your lives. In the areas of life that these sign governs is where you're going to find this new beginning playing out. So, for example, you want to pay attention to the water trine in your chart where all the water signs sit, the houses where they sit, or the earth trine where all of the earth energies sit. So if you are 12th house, 3rd house, 8th house for any of those signs, for example, those are the houses activated. We're talking about your spiritual gifts, the way they're communicated with you, and your personal growth and transformation. But if these signs are activating your 2nd house, 5th house, and 10th house, we're talking about the money you earn and what you're doing to earn it and how your creative works are making you a career and bringing in income. Again, if you're curious about how this is lining up for your chart, I recommend that we sit down and look at it during a personal reading. You can book one of those over at chrysalismoon@gmail.com. Just send an email and you'll get an autoresponder explaining how to book. I highly recommend that you book soon, as the slots for January 1st through the 15th are filling up relatively quickly. Whatever it is, this new beginning is coming as a result of a healthy dose of rumination. That's this Mars here in Scorpio, sextile Pluto. This is about what needs to end and how we got in that situation in the first place. This rumination is allowing us to see the truth, to recognize our own blocks, to get into the physical process of removing them. Some of you are hiring coaches, which I highly recommend. Get therapy, get support. Others of you know what you need to do, and you are intentionally stepping away from situations that are no longer healthy. This is coming as a result of a deep emotional illumination. We've spent 2 years of Mercury going retrograde only in water signs. We're about to do the 3rd year of Mercury retrograde in water signs. This emotional illumination is showing us the truth of how we really feel and where our heart truly lies. And the third thing this is all coming as a result as is a 3D world devastation. And this is Saturn. Saturn has a reputation for being a very harsh teacher. In the mythology, Saturn was the one whom Gaia called upon when her lover that she created herself. She created a lover. She was sick of being alone. Her lover began to try to push their co-created babies back into her because he thought they were an abomination. He thought they were ugly. When Gaia called out to her original self-created children, not co-created, self-created children, and said, "Who among you would help me put my lover in his place?" Saturn, the ruler of time and order, was the one to respond. "What would you have me do, mother?" And she said, "I want you to castrate him." Saturn did that. Now, that allows us to really see in that story that Saturn creates a separation from that which has caused us harm, even if we want it, even if we've created it. Saturn is also the restorer of divine order as the original governor of order and time, sequence of events and the seasons. When a thing is ready to be birthed, it can neither be stopped nor obstructed, and Saturn has been clearing the way of and removing anything that would stop the birth of what is in right order for our lives. And the third thing Saturn is doing with this 3D world devastation is a restoration of sovereignty and integrity, meaning wholeness. In that story, we gather that the sovereignty of Gaia was restored. Her ability to do what she does, give birth to things, was restored when Saturn did the castration separation act. So, whatever has been ending for the last 2.5 years, whatever has gone away, whatever has closed, the last year and a half, I should say, we've got one more year left of this. It was meant to, as it undermined our sovereignty and caused harm. We can trust that even though it may have hurt, it was the correct time and it was in right order for our lives. This energy continues into 2020 as Saturn completes its 2.5 year stay in the sign of physical manifestation and work ethic. With its compatriots Pluto and Jupiter, you see Jupiter just arrived in the sign of physical manifestation here, doing what it does best, talking about new beginnings on a new moon. Jupiter expands, Jupiter brings opportunity. And Pluto over here at the 22nd degree of Capricorn is going to meet Saturn in January. Pluto here is all about the alchemy, the change point, the chrysalis where the caterpillar becomes the butterfly, but it is neither of which in between. It is about not the afterlife and not the life, but it is the death point. It is the point at which one thing changes into another. That is Pluto. With this energy here in Capricorn, this is going to bring an amplification. Jupiter and this new moon are bringing an amplification both to this ending and this new beginning during a year when every planet is going to go retrograde, and ask us all to get our lives in alignment with the direction of our hearts and spirits that we've uncovered as our truth during 2019. 2019 was a big year for uncovering our truths with Jupiter's retrograde through the sign of truth, Sagittarius. Now that Jupiter has arrived in the sign of physical manifestation, it is time to take that truth and make it real via the act of works with our own hands, via our choices. This is very much a piss or get off the pot kind of year. In 2020, you're going to want to pay special attention to the planetary rulers of your sun sign, which is your sense of self and who you are. You're going to want to pay special attention to the ruler of your second house, which is your finances and self-esteem and your money earned. You want to pay special attention to your moon sign, and the planetary ruler of that moon sign, which represents our needs and our emotional world. When they go retrograde in 2020, you can expect periods of revisitation, inward reflection, and quietness in those areas of life. Old job opportunities or old money making opportunities, departure from a job or an ending, or old emotional wounds. All of that kind of stuff will come up for clearing and change in 2020. And with Jupiter in the sign of physical manifestation under the light of this particular new moon, as we roll into this coming year with this solstice, with this eclipse, my God, it's a lot of change. A lot of change. The seeds have been planted, the car has been started. It is now time to move. There's also a couple of other important energy signatures here. And I just want to say, if this is all resonating for you, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Definitely give this video a like. But if you're also going, I need to figure this out because I feel a little bit between a rock and a hard place, read on. So, or listen on. There's in the sign of Pisces, I would be remiss to not mention this configuration of Nessus, Neptune, and Lilith sitting so closely together in Pisces and approaching Chiron. This is a very slow roll. They all move mad slow. And in addition to moving so slow, they're pulling a lot of our spiritual and subconscious energy in this direction, but it warrants being addressed because even though Pisces can kind of represent the blind spot in the unseen world, it's definitely playing a role in this energy. There's going to be a big desire to try and make this all make sense. There's an internal, but what does it all mean? As all of this is squaring Mercury and Sagittarius. Again, mind, Mercury, Sagittarius, truth. What does it all mean? There's that energy bubbling up in us as we hit this solstice point and eclipse point and new moon point as we close the year. Don't try to make it all make sense right now. It will all make sense in time. What you need to do instead of trying to make meaning is to take action. There is a truth in your heart that you are being called to move on. Move on it. Say what you need to say, do what you need to do, change what you need to change. The other way this energy can play out is a very irrational and dogged clinging to that which is already done and gone. And over my dead body, will I ever let this go kind of energy. And to those of you who recognize a little inkling of truth, all I have to say about that is this: don't tempt the universe. Don't. Let it go. Get into the grief and let it go. It's time. The other interesting energy happening with this new beginning on steroids is a T-square between some minor asteroids and cardinal signs. When you've got a T-square, which is a major energy, in cardinal signs, which is all about taking initiative and fresh starts and moving things forward, and beginnings. This, even though they are minor asteroids, this is a major impact. So recall that heavy take action energy of this new moon, given that it's got 11 placements in cardinal signs and it's a strong earth new moon. So much energy taking place in earth signs. We've got Taurus hosting Uranus and Vesta. We've got just about everything and its mother down here in Capricorn. We want to pay attention to this T-square because it's forcing a forging new paths ahead and new ways forward. It's like the new beginning that's sucking you toward it. They create, T-squares are interesting because they create so many complications and they create so much tension that we're forced to be creative and do something new. So here's the T-square here. Here's Capricorn, Libra, and Aries. Those are the signs involved in this T-square, with so much tension between the signs that govern relationships, Libra, work, Capricorn, and the self, Aries. The only way out of this is to let our guard down and be vulnerable about our truths using the only energy that's unoccupied, Cancer. Cancer is all about emotional vulnerability, coming home to our emotions, being at home with how we feel, and really seeing our own soft underbelly, being in the truth of how we really feel, that vulnerable truth that we'd really rather not see, rather not feel, rather not admit. That there's perhaps something that is not working, that it is time to let go. Or there is something that we've been wanting, that we've been trying to avoid looking at, that it is time to take action on. Haumea in Libra, here she is at the 27th degree of Libra, has been working on creating new ways of being in relationships. Chariklo and Capricorn, here she is down here. She's been with Pluto all year, has been helping us be about keeping the faith that the gods are on our side in the areas of our work and the places where we apply our effort to our ambition. And Eris out here in the sign of Aries is about recognizing where we've been burned before and we refuse to be burned again. And in retrograde motion, it's about trying not to play the victim and retaliate. It's about trying to get into that higher level energy of Eris, which is recognizing, you know what, there's a high road and I actually have a choice about whether or not I'm going to take it. The only way out with all of this tension is in the only sign left out of the mix that would complete a T-square in this situation, and that's to move into Cancerian energy, to move into emotional vulnerability and come home to ourselves, come home to the emotional truths, and to be really honest and lay our cards on the table with ourselves about where we're really at and what we really want. This new beginning energy is quite significant. Don't expect it to all make sense at this time, but if your heart is compelling you to take that next step, take it and trust that it's going to lead you to somewhere beautiful and somewhere you were always meant to be in the course of time. Thank you so much for watching, listening, liking, subscribing, and sharing. If you'd like to get a personal reading with me, you can do so by emailing chrysalismoon, KRYSALISMOON @gmail.com. You'll receive an autoresponder with the details about how to book a reading. Definitely get on the list now for January 1st through the 15th, as it is filling up very, very quickly.